The Commencement Committee would very much appreciate it if you would be seated as quickly as you can, since all guests must be seated prior to 8:30. We request that you remain seated. Please take note of the photo area on the northeast side of the quadrangle. If you wish to get closer to the stage for a picture or two, please enter that area. Take your pictures, and please return to your seats so the area will be available for other guests to take their pictures. Thank you.
Entering the quadrangle, members of the class of 1963. Now entering students in the School of Medicine. The quadrangle, students in graduate arts and sciences. Entering students in the School of Law. Now entering students from the Brown School of Social Work. Now entering students from University College. Now entering students from the College of Arts and Sciences. Now entering students from the College of Architecture. Now entering the quadrangle, students from the College of Art. Now entering the quadrangle, students from the College of Engineering. Now entering the quadrangle, students from the College of Business. Welcome. Welcome to Washington University's 152nd commencement exercises. I am Robert E. Wiltenberg, the Grand Marshal of this year's ceremony, which will begin with the singing of America the Beautiful by Kathleen Marie Redmond Nubling, who will receive her degree of Master of Music from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences today. Will you please rise? Will you please be seated? Thank you, Kathleen. I now present the Chancellor of Washington University, Dr. Mark S. Wrighton.
Thank you, Dr. Wiltenberg. Good morning. It's a privilege to welcome you to the graduation exercises for the Washington University class of 2013. I extend a special welcome to the 2,752 graduates, because this is the day we recognize and celebrate the completion of your degree requirements. For you, your families, and your friends, this is a day to celebrate your extraordinary achievements leading to your graduation. It is a great pleasure and honor to also welcome and recognize members of the class of 1963 who have returned to the university to celebrate their 50th reunion. We value your association with Washington University and take pride in your lifetimes of accomplishment. Like alumni who have preceded you and those who will follow, you have made important contributions that are making the world a better place for all. Today, we also extend special recognition to individuals who will receive honorary degrees. Honorary degrees at Washington University are conferred by unanimous vote of the Board of Trustees, many of whom are on the stage before you. We recognize today 6 individuals for contributions they've made to their professions, to our community, and to society. 2 of our very talented community members are making important contributions to the ceremony today. First, the singing of America the Beautiful was performed by Kathleen Marie Redmond Nubling, who will receive her Master of Music degree from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences at this commencement ceremony. Second, as we conclude our ceremony, Ms. Colleen McCormick Batty will lead us in singing the alma mater. Ms. Batty completed the degree requirements for the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degree in business in December. Let's thank them both for their contribution. You've already heard the magnificent, inspiring, Mighty Mississippi Concert Band of St. Louis under the direction of Mr. Dan Presgrave, a former member of the faculty in the Department of Music in Arts and Sciences. Very wonderful performance. Thank you. It has been our custom to name a distinguished emeritus or emerita member of the faculty to serve as honorary Grand Marshal of Commencement. For this, the 152nd commencement, we are privileged to have Professor Emeritus Robert C. Drews serve as Honorary Grand Marshal. Professor Drews has enjoyed a long and distinguished career with Washington University. He is a Professor Emeritus of Clinical Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences. Dr. Drews graduated from Washington University's College of Arts and Sciences in 1952 and earned his medical doctorate from the university in 1955. Dr. Drews was in private practice for many years and specialized in lens implantation and cataract surgery. He was known by his patients and his peers as a skilled surgeon and an outstanding teacher and mentor. He pioneered the use of computer technology in ophthalmology. Bob has received numerous awards from Washington University and other institutions. At Washington University, he was recipient of the Faculty Achievement Award, the Second Century Award, and the Founders Day Distinguished Alumni Award. I'm delighted that he has joined us on stage today as our Honorary Grand Marshal. Please join me in thanking Professor Robert Drews for his many contributions to his field. Our commencement ceremony today is the academic highlight of our year. As we celebrate today's graduates, I would like to acknowledge one important individual who is retiring from the university this summer. That's James R. Burmeister, a distinguished university graduate from the class of 1961, a long-standing and outstanding employee. He's a great colleague, and he's currently Director of Commencement. He will be retiring this summer. Please join me in congratulating Jim Burmeister on an impressive career with Washington University. These proceedings continue a long tradition with origins dating back to the Middle Ages. I'm grateful to our Grand Marshal, Dr. Robert E. Wiltenberg, for his vital leadership in connection with our own commencement ceremonies. The university advances because many of our most distinguished academicians are making contributions to the scholarly mission as well as to campus life. Thank you, Dean Wiltenberg, for your commitment to Washington University. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chairman of the Board of Washington University, Mr. Stephen F. Brower. Mr. Brower is a long-serving member of the board and assumed the position of chairman on July 1st, 2009. He is chairman of Hunter Engineering. He and his wife, Camilla, have been great contributors to the university and to our community. Together, they were awarded this year's Jane and Whitney Harris St. Louis Community Service Award for the important contributions they have made to the St. Louis community. Please join me in welcoming Chairman of our board, Mr. Stephen Brower.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. As Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Washington University, it's my privilege and pleasure to recognize the class of 2013 for your achievements. Today, you're graduating from one of the great universities of the world. You have succeeded in meeting rigorous academic challenges, and you had good reason to be proud. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I congratulate you on a job well done. Washington University is a center of learning and discovery that nurtures creativity and fosters commitment to others. It's a place to make lifelong friendships, to get to know viewpoints and cultures different from your own, to build the foundation for professional achievement, and to find inspiration for pursuing your dreams. As members of the Washington University community, we share a mission to help make the world a better place than we found it. Today, we welcome members of the class of 1963 who are seated on stage today in honor of their 50 years of outstanding achievement. We expect to be equally proud of the class of 2013 when you sit here 50 years from today. In the meantime, we hope to see you back on campus from time to time. Have a safe and satisfying journey, and always remember this moment with pride. My fellow trustees and I applaud you, your families, and everyone who is celebrating with you today. Our heartiest congratulations and best wishes to you all.
Thank you, Steve. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Mr. Cory Anthony Booker, Mayor of the City of Newark, New Jersey. Cory Booker grew up in Harrington Park, New Jersey. His parents, Carolyn Rose and Carrie Alfred Booker, both civil rights activists in the 1960s, were executives at IBM. Cory enrolled at Stanford University in 1987, where he played tight end on the Stanford football team and earned his Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. Like many graduates sitting here today, Cory Booker balanced a rigorous undergraduate academic experience with significant leadership activities. He served as president of his senior class. He organized programs for marginalized youth in East Palo Alto, and he ran a student-run crisis hotline. Stanford University recognized Mr. Booker for his commitments to the community in 1991 with the university's highest award for service. After receiving a Master of Arts in Sociology from Stanford in 1992, he went on to become a prestigious Rhodes Scholar, where he earned an honors degree in modern history from Oxford University. While studying at Oxford, Cory ran a mentoring program for low-income youth. After returning from Oxford, Mr. Booker attended Yale University, where he earned a law degree in 1997. Taking his passion for public service back to his home state of New Jersey, Cory Booker moved into a public housing complex in Newark that had become known for its poor conditions. At the age of 29, he successfully ran for a seat on Newark City Council, defeating a four-term incumbent. During his term as councilman, Cory Booker immersed himself in one of America's most impoverished and challenging communities, diligently working to bring attention to the plight of his constituents and to effect positive change in his city. In 1999, he went on a 10-day hunger strike to draw attention to widespread drug dealing in one of Newark's worst housing projects, an effort that resulted in an increased police presence and improved security for residents. In 2006, Cory Booker successfully ran and was elected mayor of the city of Newark. As mayor, now in his second term, he's continued to maintain very close and personal ties to his constituents and has continued to work tirelessly to improve their lives, to raise awareness about food insecurity Mr. Booker lived on a food stamp budget for 7 days. Following a snowstorm, dozens of residents requested help via the mayor's Twitter feed. I believe he has over 1.2 million followers. And he responded to the call, showing up to their homes to shovel driveways. Last fall, he invited Hurricane Sandy victims to stay in his home. Mayor Cory Booker has clearly demonstrated how an engaged, compassionate, servant leader can positively change the circumstances for people in his community. At his young age, Cory Booker has enjoyed much success and has helped improve the lives of thousands of others less fortunate than he. Like you, he has enjoyed the strong foundation of a supportive family and community and the benefits of an outstanding undergraduate and graduate education. He has accomplished a great deal in a short span of time, and he, like you, has a very bright future ahead of him. Graduates, families, and distinguished guests, I'm honored to introduce you to Cory Anthony Booker.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am incredibly thrilled to be here, and I want to thank people for this opportunity. Really, this day is the result of a grand conspiracy of love. So many people came together to make this day so special for the graduates. I personally want to start off by thanking all the faculty and staff. This is a university that does not just have teachers of facts, figures, but truly has people who love this community and pour their heart and soul into the academic structure here, and I give them my gratitude. I also want to thank the trustees. I too sat on the board of a great American university and know how much it takes to keep a university on the cutting edge of excellence like this. And I want to single out one particular trustee, that of Ann Tisch, who not only is my dear friend, but for her, I would not be standing before you today. I also want to thank those people who don't get thanked enough. We have an America that we're often so rushed that we fail to recognize all the love that goes into a day like this. So I want to give my thanks to all the people at this university who served the food to our young people, who cleaned floors and bathrooms, who cleaned classrooms, who kept the grounds. Those people, our brothers and sisters, they take pride in this day as well. And then there are, of course, the parents. I am very excited to be before family members now because I am tickled that there are so many graduates here that are lucky that you do not have my parents here today. Because I had those crazy parents and family that would make so much noise and ruckus at my graduations that I'm a very tall guy, but I would sink lower and lower in my seat. I know there's a lot of people here that believe like my mother did. She said behind every successful child is an astonished parent. And the truth of the matter is I know there's a lot of astonishment here right now today. But I bring this up really to get to the point of what I want to discuss briefly with you, which is really these lessons of my family. I want to talk just about this idea of vision today. But I want to say as a prelude that I had two different types of folks at my graduations. My family, interestingly, separated down by gender and how they greeted me and how they embraced me. My mother and my grandmother, now 95 years old, they were the nurturing force in my life. They would hug me and lift me up and make me feel so, so special on my graduations. But my dad and my grandfather seemed to have a very different mission indeed. Their job was to tease me into humility at every single point. Let me tell you, on my high school graduation, I was president of my high school class, honor society. I was going on a full scholarship to Stanford, but my dad, of course, had to come up and remind me and say, oh, boy, don't you get so proud. You got into Stanford because of a 4.0 and 1,600. 4.0 yards per carry, 1,600 receiving yards your senior year. You're going on a football scholarship, man. At my college graduation, Here I am again, president of my class, graduating with honors, and my dad comes up to me with the program, points to it and says, I see, son, that you're not graduating magna cum laude or summa cum laude. You're just thank you, Lottie, I'm out of here. And of course, my graduation from law school, the ultimate and final graduation, my grandfather, my father come up to me and say, listen, boy, pay attention now. You got more degrees in the month of July, but you ain't hot. Go out there and get a job. And so my mom and my grandmother, my dad and my grandfather, they just had different ways of being. When my mom and my grandmother tell stories to this day, I sit rapt and ready because they have this penchant for accuracy and detail. Even though they've been telling me some of the same stories for 44 years, I know some people can appreciate that. The reality is I learn something every time they speak. And I love listening to my grandfather and my father speak because they too have a certain knack, but their knack is for hyperbole and exaggeration. I mean, my father, when he starts talking about his background, I just sit back and begin to recognize that this is going to be the most dramatic retelling of his life. In fact, he tells me stories and forgets midway facts he's given me, like he walked uphill, this steep hill in the mountains of North Carolina to get to school. And then by the end of the story, he's walking uphill again to get home. I don't know what kind of geographical anomaly that my father lived in. And the weather patterns would always get worse. It's North Carolina, but it always rains. And then the hail period went from hail the size of golf balls to every athletic ball possible. Baseballs and soccer balls. Heck, there were beach balls. Hail soon became galactic asteroids hitting the mountains. And my father, there's one of the 10 commandments that I hope you all remember about honoring your mother and father, but I came close to violating that 10th commandment just last year when my dad began to tell me about the time when a tsunami hit his town. And I had to say, Dad, I'm sorry, you were in the mountains of North Carolina, there could be no tsunami. And he got mad and indignant, and he said, boy, it was before the internet, it happened, but you can't look it up. So I simply want to tell you 2 stories to honor the 2 oral traditions in my life. One story about vision from my father and my grandfather's side, and then one story about vision from the matriarchs of my family, a spirit of unvarnished truth that I think is very important. But now let me get to my dad and my grandfather and tell a story in their spirit that does have a, as Stephen Colbert says, a high level of truthiness, but it's not quite true. When I was a young man, I was the youngest person elected in Newark City Council, and at the time I sat on the Board of Trustees at Stanford University, and I would have to go out 5 times a year to San Francisco to get to the board meetings. And it was interesting sitting on a city council, which is like the board of a city, and sitting on a board of a university. And one day when I was in the city council chambers and we were in a fight, and I don't know what it's like in this city or the cities you all are from, when I say we were in a fight, we were in a real fight. Somebody had me in a headlock and 2 around the legs, and my staff member bursts into the room and says, Cory, you gotta go, your flight leaves in 15 minutes. And then he scratched his head and he goes, you know what, you're just not gonna be able to make it. I'm sorry, you can't make the plane, it's impossible. Now, this staffer knew exactly the mistake that he had made when he uttered that word to me, impossible, because he knew he would get my standard reaction. I put my hand on my hip and I looked at him hard and I said, you know something, man? My mama told me ain't no such thing as impossible. Get that car, we're gonna make this plane. And my staffer rolls his eyes and says, all right. And he runs back, gets the car. I run down the steps of City Hall. I dive in the car and we race off to the airport. Now, I'm mayor of the city now, so I can't tell you we broke any traffic laws, of course. But 1 or 2 might have gotten bruised on the way. And when we arrive at the airport, I jump out of the car, race into the airport foyer, and you all know, some of you who have studied advanced mathematics, you know there's this formula that says that the more of a hurry you are in, the longer the line at the airport. I know you've done research on that. And so there is this long line, but you don't understand. I am being called by a chorus of cynics to rise up and show that the impossible can happen. I am on a righteous mission, so I do what I must do on the cause of honor. I cut everybody in line. And now I'm standing there at the counter. This woman is throwing carry-on baggage at me, screaming at me for cutting in front of her. But I lean forward and I tell the woman behind the counter, I go, ma'am, I am on flight 2222 going to San Francisco. Give me my ticket. And the woman looks at me and says, sir, you don't understand. That plane leaves in 5 minutes. They've probably already closed the door. You can't get on that plane. It's impossible. This woman did not know my mama. So I put my hand on my hips and I said, listen, ma'am, my mama told me ain't no such thing as impossible. And then I put my hand on my other hip. And I don't care in this audience if you're Irish or Italian, if you're Native American or Cuban, if you're Korean or you are from New Jersey. Sometimes in life, you gotta get ethnic on people. And so I said, and my grandmama told me that black people been making a way out of no way for a long time, ma'am. I said, give me that ticket. And she rolls her eyes. She must have known my age. She rolls her eyes and she hands me the ticket. And so now I grab that ticket, fueled with the call of doing impossible things. I turn and I run through this airport, jumping over bags, twisting and dodging people. I was running through the airport like a man that we don't talk about that much anymore. I get about 25 yards from the gate, and I see this woman closing the door with the combination, and I scream at her, and I say, stop, and she turns around, and she sees this former tight end from Stanford University rumbling towards her. She drops her clipboard, she pins herself against the wall, and she goes, what's wrong? And I said, ma'am, I'm on that plane. And she goes, sir, you can't get on this plane. I go, you don't understand. I've got to get on that plane. She goes, I'm sorry, you can't. We've given away all the seats. It's impossible. I put my hand on my hip. I told her my mama said there's no such thing as impossible. I put my hand on my other hip. And I said, my grandmother told me black people have been making a way out of no way for a long time. And then I put my hand on my other hip again. I said, my great-grandmama, she was a religious woman, and she said, I can do all things. Can I get a witness? I can do all things. And before I could go deep into Philippians, she says, stop, sir, please stop. We don't need any air rage here, sir. Calm down. You're right, okay, you're right. There is a seat on the plane, and sir, if it's acceptable to you, it's in first class. Well, I dabbed the sweat off my brow. I looked at the woman hard, and I said to her, that'll be acceptable. And she opens the door, and I start walking down. Now, I'm a child of the 80s TV. I had just moved on up, so I did my George Jefferson walk. And I am now walking down. This woman stops me, and she says, sir, where are you sitting? And I looked at her indignantly. I said, ma'am, I am in first class. And this was the first time I had flown first class. And they make seats in first class especially made for former tight ends of Stanford University. It was this wide seat, and I sat down there, and then something else. They offer you a drink before you take off. Now, usually I just drink water, but this was first class. And so I looked at the woman, and I said, ma'am, would you give me some Perrier, please? I am now having my glass in hand. The plane starts moving back, goes down the runway. The captain gets on the announcement speaker and says, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to flight 7342 going to Miami. I was first class, but I was headed in the wrong direction. I make this point in the spirit of my father and my grandfather for these reasons. Please understand that this world is going to try to tell you what it means to be first class. They're going to give you signals every single day bombarding you that first class has to do with the clothes that you wear or the car that you drive or the house that you live in, but first class has nothing to do with those things. If you want to be first class, it is about the content of your character, the quality of your ideas, the kindness that you have in your heart. This is first class. something happened in my generation that we went from the great call of citizenship, where the people in our country now are looked more as consumers. We are not a consumer society. We are a society of citizenships. And the call of citizenship calls for you not to judge your value on what you have, but to judge your value on what you give. And let me tell you this, it's not just about you. If that story tells you anything, it is the African proverb right there, that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. We are a nation that lives this spirit. The story of America often is marked in its early days by a celebration of our Declaration of Independence. But the truth of America, when you look at our history, when you look at our people, it screams to a declaration of interdependence, that we need each other, that we do better when we all do better. And here we are in a difficult point in American history, where many people are thinking that America is like United Airlines. Some people will get into first class. The rest will be relegated to coach. Some people will be those that go on your plane and clean it with no pension, no health insurance, and no sick days. But this is not the nation that we dream of in our common aspirations. This is not the country that calls to the consciousness of our people. We are a nation that cannot allow the current trends to continue. You may be the first generation to have children that have higher obesity rates, higher health costs, worse health outcomes, higher violent crime in many communities. You may be the generation with greater social stratification, fewer and fewer wealthy people, and more poor. We cannot allow this to happen. We still are a nation that understands, as King so eloquently said, that we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a common garment of destiny. That injustice anywhere is indeed a threat to justice everywhere. And so our vision must be bold. It must be great. It must drive us to do the impossible things, but it also must be focused on the true call of citizenship, to be an exemplar of your values, to live your truth, to be authentic in your spirit, and to join with others in substantive ways to take on this world's challenges. And now I tell you an unvarnished story in the spirit of the matriarchs of my family. I moved into some high-rise, what became public housing projects in Newark. I lived there for 8 years, and I'm telling you, even to this day, it's the best of the communities I've lived in. And I say that not because of the greatness of the small town I grew up in. It was incredible, but there were people in this community that had a sense of mission and a sense of purpose. I always say I got my BA from Stanford, but my PhD in the streets of Newark, and these buildings were full of some of my greatest professors. Some of my professors came in young ages, children who I watched grow up. Some of them used to hang out in the lobby of my building, and I would come home, and amazingly, I would see my dad. You see, in the group of these kids, there was a young man that reminded me of my father. My father used to always tell me, son, I grew up poor. Actually, he would heckle me if he heard me say that. He used to tell me, Cory, don't tell those people I grew up poor. I was P-O. I couldn't afford the other two letters. But my father was like many of these kids. He grew up poor to a single mother. He grew up in a segregated environment, back then de jure, now de facto. He grew up with challenges. And in this lobby, as I went on in the years, I saw one particular group of kids that had one leader of the pack that really was like my dad. He had a sharp wit, and he had incredible humor, and he had a good spirit. I would come home and I would hang out in the lobby before I went upstairs talking to them, then I'd get into the elevator and go, and one day I started seeing some things that bothered me. I saw them starting to show some colors. I realized that they must be getting involved with the Bloods in our city. And then sometimes I'd come home and I would smell things that I hadn't smelled since my dorm days at Stanford. And so I knew immediately what these signs were. So I stepped up. I asked the kids, hey guys, we talk every night. Why don't we go to the movies sometime? And we went to the movies. That's when I discovered that there was a movie called Saw that was something I shouldn't have been taking the kids to see. We went out to diners. If you're in Jersey, you gotta go to a diner. And we just hung out. I brought friends of mine that were involved in the drug trade and had gotten out, had been rescued from the death trap that is, and everything seemed to be going well, but suddenly I couldn't follow up anymore because I got busy doing noble things. I was running for mayor. I was on an important mission, a grand goal. And so I didn't have time to follow up with them, to try to make mentoring connections, to try to be there. I was just racing through the lobby now. Dead tired, I would go up as my campaign got going. I was Cory Booker, running for mayor. My name was all over the city. And those kids, they rejoiced in knowing that a potential mayor was in their buildings, and they celebrated me. They catered to my needs, teasing me and keeping me grounded on tough days. And one day, I'll never forget, I came home and it was like a line of boys holding my lawn signs, cheering me on at the end of a long day. And I felt so good. I was doing my wave and joking with them until I realized, where did they get those lawn signs from? I did indeed, in 2006, get elected to be mayor. Incredible, I'm now the mayor of the biggest city in the state of New Jersey. Man, aren't I important? I've achieved the brass ring, and now I'm going for that next one. Well, in the time that I was mayor-elect, I was getting death threats on my life. The FBI intervened, and I had security assigned to me, big guys with guns. And so when I came home to the lobby, those kids weren't hanging out anymore. I barely noticed it, but of course they weren't there. They're not going to hang out in places with armed police standing there looking at them. But I lost track because I was on a mission, and the mission then was to stop the unrelenting violence in my city. Once I got elected and swore the oath, that very night people were murdered, and so I was out on every street corner. Every time there was a shooting, whether it was at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m., I was there to talk to people about our mission, about our goal. We were going to take on this violence. We were better than this. On a month into my job, I showed up on a street, Court Street in Newark, and there was a body on the floor, on the ground, covered in a sheet, another one being loaded into an ambulance, and I went into mayor mode. I was talking to people, telling them, this is not Newark. We are better than this. My words trying to be a balm on the wound in this community, in this neighborhood. I was feeling mayoral as I walked around. People were looking at me, waiting for what I would say. I got back to my apartment at the end of the day, going through all the BlackBerry messages, and there I see one. I couldn't tear my eyes away because there I saw it. The incident report for the murder earlier. I wanted it to go away because there I saw on my screen was the name of the boy from the lobby of my building who reminded me of my dad. I looked at this name and I've never wished that it would just disappear, that it couldn't be true, that the boy from my building. I'll never forget that funeral. I'll never forget going to that funeral home. I did not feel mayoral. I stood in the back. I didn't go up to people engaging them. I didn't have one encouraging word. I just stood there. And I watched everybody show up. Community members, political leaders, school classmates, teachers, neighbors from my building packed that small funeral home, and I could only stand in the back and watch. My body filling up with a darkness, with a pain I could not heal. And I just watched. People came to me and said, Mayor this and Mayor that, and I just mumbled responses because I was being haunted, not encouraged, but haunted by the words of our ancestors. I was haunted by Martin Luther King, who said, we will have to repent today, not for the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. I was a good person. I stood there watching all of those people showing up to deplore the situation, all of those people showing up, me among them, to curse the darkness. But where was our light? I tell you, I left that funeral home before services were over. I ran. I don't know if I was running from or running to. I got to City Hall. I walked through the offices to my office, this historic office in New Jersey, where giants and legends have sat. I closed the doors and I looked around at this palatial office, me, a new mayor, and all I could do was find a corner to sit down in and cry. I wept. God had put this child right in front of my face. I passed him by every single day. And I want to tell you, graduates, this is the moments of your life that will matter. When you're ground down in the foundry of pain, when sorrow seems impossibly hard to shake, these are the moments. I've now realized that courage is not giving the big speech. Courage is not running into a burning building. That courage is when tragedy's trumpets sound in your life, that you still can hold on to that quiet little voice that tells you to keep going anyway. Courage is when you wake up in the morning with the weight of shame upon your chest, with having made a mistake or done something wrong, or being discouraged, or feeling the grip of unshakable depression, that you still get out of that bed anyway and keep on going. These are the moments, I tell you right now, when you're broken, that will give you your most valuable lessons if you don't stop. Failure is never final if you don't give up. And so in that room, in that office, as I sat there with tears in my eyes, I found a lesson. It is a truth of humanity. It is the screaming testimony of American history, that we as individuals are more powerful than we know. That life ultimately is not about the big goal. Life is about the small things, and I tell you this with all the conviction in my heart, that the biggest thing you can do in any day is a small act of kindness. That every day you'll be confronted by seemingly small situations, and you can make one choice. Either to just accept it as it is or to take responsibility for changing it. Yes, have big dreams and big ambitions, but never forget that even the greatest ambitions must be made manifest in the simplest and smallest of acts. Do you want to be a great parent? It's a wonderful ambition, but it's about the small things. Do you want to change the world? That is a wonderful ambition, but it is about the small things. To paraphrase Alice Walker in her brilliant book, In Search of My Mother's Garden, she says, the real revolutionary is always concerned with the least glamorous of things. Raising a child's reading level from 3rd to 4th, filling out food stamps for someone illiterate because they must eat, revolution or not. Spending time with your elderly citizens, recording their history because they will tell you truths. It is the small things in life. Live with that kind of focus on the small things. Show your kindness and your decency and love, not only in grand acts, but in the small ones. Let it penetrate your very being. Like the story about the great Mahatma Gandhi taking on the British Empire, who was running for a train and leapt upon the train, pulled into 3rd class. His sandal falls off. Everybody on that train looks in sorrow as the great Mahatma Gandhi's sandal is disappearing in the distance, but Gandhi doesn't miss a beat. He reaches for his other sandal and tosses it way out on the tracks. The man helping him said, "Why did you do that?" And Gandhi looked at him perplexed. Why? Because whoever finds that one sandal, wouldn't it be great if they found 2 as well? We have so much potential. Alice Walker said the most common way people give up their power is not realizing they have it in the first place. And so I want to end with this last vignette. to tie this both together, my mom and my dad. And it's from an old man who I met on the streets of Newark. One of these great professors that didn't have letters after his name, but he was Newark's most long-standing tenant organizer. In the 70s, he led our city's longest rent strike under incredibly bad conditions. He found me as a law student working in Newark, and immediately he saw, with vision, saw in me things I didn't see in myself. He would joke that he knew I was going to go on and lead this city before I even realized. We worked together, took on battles, took on slumlords, but I tell you something, days are long, but years fly by. And before you knew it, years were taking their toll on Frank Hutchins. He was getting old and sick, and his eyesight started to go, and so we started to have this little joke with each other. I would come to his apartment to visit him, to bring food, to talk, and every time I came, I would say, "Frank, it's me," and he would look at me, not being able to see me now, but he would say the words, "I see you, Cory, I see you." I began to love to hear those words from him. I would visit him, I would take him out, he'd insist on even going to see a movie, and I said, "Hey man, I got this great movie, Saw 4, you gotta see it." And always he would say to me, when he saw me and when I left, he would say to me, "I see you, Cory, I see you." In his final days, I was visiting him in hospice time and time again, and I was told that this was probably going to be it. I walked into his room, and there he was lying in the bed and breathing very rapidly, and I sat with him, and I tell you, there were angels around. This is a glorious life. He lived a mighty, mighty time. And when I left him, when I walked out of that room, he had only tried to say two things to me. The last one was very meaningful. He worked hard to force the words out, "I love you." But the one he said that I'll remember for the rest of my life, the one he said that was so true even though his eyesight was completely gone, he said, "Cory, I see you." Graduates of 2013, I tell you this with all of my heart, I see you. You're more beautiful than you realize, stronger than you know, more powerful than you can imagine. I see you. I see in this dark world that you are the light. I see that in a world where too many are surrendering to cynicism, to doubt, that you are the hope and the faith. I see you, graduates of 2013. I see the dreams of generations long ago. I see the hope for generations yet unborn. I see you, class of 2013. And I tell you this, have a vision. In fact, every time you hear our national anthem, hear it as a challenge. Oh, say, can you see? A world where in life, as Frederick Douglass says, you don't get everything you pay for, but you must pay for everything you get. Have it as a challenge to pay with love, to pay with kindness, to pay with decency, to pay with respect. Oh, say, can you see a world where change does not just roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but must be carried in on the backs of soldiers? See yourself as those warriors of love and kindness. Oh, say, can you see a country that loves every one of its children, where an education like this is not for the privileged few, but abundant for the all? Oh, say, can you see? Can you see an end to the ills of poverty? Can you see global health elevated? Oh, say, can you see it? Can you see a day when righteousness does roll down like water and justice like a mighty stream? And if you can see it, then be it. And as you be it, as you encounter people in this world that may look at you and say, who is this crazy dreamer? Who is this idealist? Who is this embodiment of hope? What you talk about, what you say, and what you do. Don't you know that these things are impossible? When they say that to you, I want you to put your hand on your hip and tell them, my mama said there ain't no such thing as impossible. Congratulations, class of 2013. Be it, see it. God bless you.
I think we see one of the greatest professors. Cory Booker, it's my privilege to honor you with the honorary Doctor of Laws degree. Congratulations. Please come forward. I have asked members of the Board of Trustees to assist me today in conferring the other honorary degrees. Trustee Arnold W. Donald will present Marilyn Ray Fox.
Good morning, Chancellor Wright. I have the privilege of presenting Marilyn Fox, a dedicated civic leader and volunteer who has devoted her energy and her philanthropy to countless causes that help make our St. Louis community a much better place to work and to live. The Missouri Botanical Garden, the Missouri History Museum, Webster University, the Jewish Federation of St. Louis, the United Way, the Girl Scouts, the Old Newsboys Day Campaign for Kids, and Variety, the children's charity of St. Louis, are just some of the many, many institutions she has so ably served and so positively impacted. Mrs. Fox, Marilyn, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your commitment and your many accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities.
Trustee Andrew E. Newman will present Martin Luther Matthews.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege of presenting Martin Matthews, who for more than half a century has devoted his life to community service. Always a champion for youth, he co-founded a club initially designed simply to provide structured recreational activities to young men in his North St. Louis neighborhood. Today, the Matthews-Dickey Boys and Girls Club provides cultural, educational, and athletic programs to more than 40,000 young men and women throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area. By forging relationships with business and community leaders and developing innovative programs, Martin Matthews helped create what is today considered a national model for youth development. Mr. Matthews, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your commitment and accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Humanities. Martin. Thank you.
Trustee Barbara Shaps-Thomas will present Juhani Pallasmaa.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the privilege of presenting Juhani Pallasmaa, internationally recognized architect, educator, and critic, a member of the jury for the coveted Pritzker Architecture Prize. He is an honorary fellow of the American Institute of Architects and the 2009 recipient of the Arnold W. Bruner Memorial Prize from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. His book, The Eyes of the Skin, Architecture and the Senses, has become a classic of contemporary architectural theory and is required reading in architecture schools around the world. Mr. Pallasmaa, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your commitment and accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Art and Architecture.
Trustee Ann Rubenstein Tisch will present Dr. Peter Rosen.
You ready? Good. Chancellor Wright and I have the privilege of presenting Dr. Peter Rosen, a pioneer and international leader in emergency medicine. Dr. Rosen has written hundreds of articles, editorials, and speeches to improve our knowledge of emergency medicine. He was founding editor of Rosen's Emergency Management, Concepts and Clinical Practice, the field's highly regarded flagship textbook. He is also the founding editor of the Journal of Emergency Medicine and remains on its editorial board. A prolific speaker and author who has taught and counseled a generation of emergency medicine physicians. Dr. Rosen has won numerous awards and is widely recognized as a legend in his field. Dr. Rosen, we at Washington University are proud to recognize your accomplishments and commitment by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Trustee Robert L. Virgil will present Howard L. Wood.
Chancellor Wrighton, I have the high privilege to present Howard Wood, pioneer business leader, dedicated conservationist, strong advocate of education. Howard Wood credits his education at the Olin School of Business for his singular achievements in business. A successful career in public accounting with Arthur Andersen & Co., followed by remarkable entrepreneurial accomplishments in telecommunications. Mr. Wood is an ardent supporter of his alma mater. For more than 50 years, involved as an alumnus, volunteer, trustee, and advisor. A celebrated conservationist, Howard helped lead Missouri in developing one of America's foremost conservation programs. Howard, we at Washington University are honored and proud to recognize your commitment and accomplishments by bestowing upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
Will all members of the Board of Trustees please rise? Will all honorary degree recipients please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you the appropriate honorary degree and declare that your names shall be forever inscribed upon the enduring roll of the university's honorary sons and daughters. Congratulations. You may all be seated. Thank you.
I wish to introduce the president of the senior class, J.R. Davis.
Good morning and welcome to you all. My name is J.R. Davis, and for the past year it has been both my honor and privilege to serve as the president of the class of 2013. To begin, I'd like to thank both my mom and dad as well as all of the parents here today, for without you, today would not be possible. When I first found out that I would be giving these remarks, I asked a number of people what I should or shouldn't do in this speech. There was one common response: keep it short. I'm on it. I could use this occasion to highlight the funny moments that we, the class of 2013, remember, like our freshman floors. Shout out to Elliot too, by the way. Bears Den catching fire, throwing down for semesterly wilds in this very quad, or the quirky qualities that only WashU graduates can share in appreciating. The bewildering shortage of outlets in the duct that I've yet to understand to this day, or late night infatuations that persist of half and halves in Bears Den. However, today is one among the handful of distinct moments in life that truly marks the beginning of a journey from one chapter to the next, obviously. As of today and the conclusion of this morning's ceremony, we mark the first step upon the bridge that will carry us from one place in our lives to the next. And I don't mean from St. Louis to a new destination, but from a time of preparation to a time of action, from a time of conditioning to a time of undertaking. Today, more so than ever before in our lives, our destiny is of our own choosing. When tomorrow comes, we will wake as college graduates. And with this comes certain inevitable questions that might not be so obvious, but are likely more important. How can we extract insight from the challenges that we have faced? And how can we truly make the most of our lives' experiences? What is it that we stand for? Many of us here today share the fond and cherished memory of Dean Jim McLeod, a genuine mentor and friend. It is no coincidence that those inevitable questions are the same, if not identical, as those that Dean McLeod so frequently urged students like us, you and me, to consider during our time here at Washington University. From the vigorous discussions we have had together to the obligations that we have shared together, I am unquestionably confident that we, Washington University's class of 2013, stand for something, that we can cope with shortcomings and carry on in the face of disappointment, that we possess the capacity to make the most of each moment and every experience. We have seen it in the classroom and on the sports field, in extracurriculars, and in our community, in virtually all that we do. Through things like Controversy in Coffee, Sigma Iota Rho, and Student Union, we have helped each other develop as thinkers and innovators. In our athletics, whether varsity or intramural, we have exhibited teamwork and thoughtful collaboration. From Each One Teach One and Campus Y to Relay for Life and Dance Marathon, we have engaged and embraced those around us in need. Regardless of what we want to be, anthropologists or artists, physicians or philosophers, all of these shared experiences and all of these earnest relationships have been made together, and they have been made here at Washington University. They have equipped us with a near limitless capacity to overcome adversity, and they have moved us to strive to master every moment. As we identify what we stand for, new standards for health or education, the improved safety of our communities, or the prosperity of our country, the well-being of our families and one another, as we identify how to apply what we've worked to learn and what we now master, that is when we, in our generation, will realize what it is that we can unlock and achieve together. Life will not be a straight path, and it is unlikely that anything worth having will come easy. But whether the tasks ahead be exceptional or the challenges many, I have no doubt that it is us, our class and our generation, that possesses the potential to do what is great. From curing cancer to creating jobs to forging peace and safeguarding opportunity, these achievements will be realized by us and during our lifetime. So when tomorrow does come, don't forget those important questions. I urge us to always consider what we stand for, to embrace the challenge, and measure to the moment. And as we grapple with the answers to these questions, we should not ignore the challenges of our time. We resolved ourselves of this at the recent Clinton Global Initiative University, hosted here at WashU, harnessing the ideas and creativity of tomorrow's leaders from around the country here on our campus. Since arriving at WashU just a few years ago, our world has borne witness to events and phenomena that have shaped who we are and how we approach our lives. Marvels of which Washington University has played a part, like the unlocked secrets of mapping the human genome and the leading discoveries made possible by NASA's Mars rover. However, we have also borne witness to trials and adversity, like the 2011 tsunami disaster in Japan, the preceding conflict in Syria, and ongoing questions about the world economy. We have experienced these wonders and setbacks, and we have experienced them together. Our answers to the questions that arise on this day must be informed by the world in which we live and influenced by the struggles of which we collectively endure. As a fellow graduate of WashU's class of 2013, I can say undeniably and without any doubt that we do not shy from the tests of today nor of the uncertainties of tomorrow. We embrace them. We do not turn away from the debates laid upon our generation. We invite them. We do this not only as students from Sam Fox or from Olin, from Art, Sci, or Engineering, not only as Greeks or non-Greeks, not only as men or as women, but as engineers and entrepreneurs, as scientists and scholars, all learned and developed in the same community, all jointly strengthened by the aptitudes of each other, and all shaped by our time here at Washington University. On my last day of class, I was sitting in my environmental and energy issues class, which many of you guys were in as well, and Professor Bill Lowry assured us that somebody at commencement would speak about how graduates are to be the decision makers of the future and of tomorrow. He was so right, and it is so true. My friends, we are. To our teachers, our families, and our friends, I want to convey my absolute confidence in what we, Washington University's class of 2013, can achieve in the world. Let us realize today the power of our knowledge the value of our experiences, and the direction of our dreams. And let these things shape who we are, what we stand for, and how we can channel our potential to achieve success and truly make a difference. May our experiences and our education pave the road to our prosperity, and may we forever make our mark on this world. Godspeed, class of 2013.
Thank you, JR. And now for the presentation of academic degrees. I now present the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor of Washington University, Edward S. Macias.
For the presentation of academic degrees in arts and sciences, I now present the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, Barbara A. Schall.
For the presentation of students in the College of Arts and Sciences, I wish to introduce the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, Jennifer R. Smith.
The student marshals for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts in Arts and Sciences and Bachelor of Science in Architecture will please come forward. Candidates for these degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in University College, I wish to introduce the Associate Dean for Academics of University College, Stephen M. Ehrlich.
The student marshals for the degree of Associate in Arts and Bachelor of Science will please come forward. Candidates for these degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor of presenting these candidates who are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshal for the master's degrees in University College will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor of presenting these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of graduate students in arts and sciences, I wish to introduce the Dean of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, Richard J. Smith.
The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, it is with high honor that I present these outstanding candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. They have fulfilled the many requirements for this advanced degree and are approved by the faculty of the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. The candidates may hood one another.
Thanks.
The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in the School of Engineering, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science, Ralph S. Quadrano.
The student marshals for the Bachelor of Science degrees will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the School of Engineering and Applied Science.
Now I'll give you the real one. Now this is the real one. The real one.
The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the graduate degrees in the School of Engineering and Applied Science will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates for the master's degrees in engineering. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty in the School of Engineering and Applied Science. The candidates may hood one another. candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of academic degrees in the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, I now present the Dean, Carmen Colangelo.
For the presentation of students in architecture, I wish to introduce the Dean of the College of Architecture and the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design in the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, Bruce M. Lindsay.
The student marshal for the degree of Bachelor of Technology in Architectural Technology will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the College of Architecture. The candidate will please be seated. I would now like to recognize the students who are receiving from the College of Arts and Sciences a Bachelor of Arts with a major in architecture or a Bachelor of Science in architecture. Will these students please stand and be recognized? The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the master's degrees in the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Architecture and Urban Design. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in art, I now wish to introduce the Dean of the College of Art and the Graduate School of Art in the Sam Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, Buzz Spector.
The student marshals for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Arts will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the College of Art. Congratulations, Kathy. Congratulations, Carmen. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshal for the degree of Master of Fine Arts will please come forward. Candidates for this degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the Graduate School of Art. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of students in the School of Business, I wish to introduce the Dean of the John M. Olin School of Business, Mahendra R. Gupta.
The student marshals for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in John M. Olin School of Business will please come forward. Candidates for the degree will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who are duly recommended by the faculty of the John M. Olin School of Business. The candidates will please be seated. Student marshals for the master's degrees in the John M. Olin School of Business will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I had the honor to present these candidates. They have been examined and duly recommended by the faculty of John M. Olin School of Business. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Social Work, I wish to introduce the Dean of the George Warren Brown School of Social Work, Edward F. Lawler.
The student marshals for the master's degrees in the George Warren Brown School of Social Work will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees of Master of Social Work and Master of Public Health, who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the George Warren Brown School of Social Work. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Law, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Law, Kent D. Severud.
The student marshals for master's and doctoral degrees in the Washington University School of Law will please come forward. The candidates for all law degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Laws, Master of Juridical Studies, and Doctor of the Science of Law, who have been examined and duly recommended by my colleagues on the faculty of the School of Law. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
For the presentation of the students in the School of Medicine, I wish to introduce the Dean of the School of Medicine, Larry J. Shapiro.
The student marshals for the master's degree in the School of Medicine will please come forward. The candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the honor to present these candidates who have been examined and are duly recommended by the faculty of the School of Medicine. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated. The student marshals for the doctoral degrees in the School of Medicine will please come forward. Candidates for the degrees will please rise. Chancellor Wrighton, I have the high honor to present these candidates who have fulfilled the many requirements for the degrees of Doctor of Medicine, Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Occupational Therapy, and Doctor of Physical Therapy, and are approved by the faculty of the School of Medicine. The candidates may hood one another. The candidates will please be seated.
Will all of the faculty please rise? Will all of the candidates who have completed the requirements for the bachelor's degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your bachelor's degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. Congratulations. The graduates will please be seated. Will all of the candidates who have completed the requirements for the master's degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your master's degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. The graduates are to be congratulated. Please be seated. Will all of the candidates who have completed the requirements for the doctoral degree please rise? By virtue of the authority delegated to me on behalf of Washington University, I hereby confer upon each of you your doctoral degree with all its attendant rights, privileges, and obligations. The doctors are to be congratulated. Please be seated. The faculty may be seated. Congratulations to our newest alumni, the class of 2013. You have accomplished an enormous amount, and you have even greater potential than when you began your studies here. You have earned a degree, but you have done much more than grow intellectually. You have also matured socially and emotionally. Your newly acquired education will serve you well throughout your life, and the Washington University friendships and memories are ones that I hope you return to often. Graduates, your achievements here are impressive, but you've not realized success on your own. You've been supported by parents and other family members, by friends, and by Washington University faculty, staff, and students. And many among you have been supported by generous donors who provided scholarship gifts. Graduates, would you join me in thanking those who've helped you realize your graduation today? Thank you. To the graduating seniors, thank you for teaching me the Harlem Shake. Your efforts have led to a very generous class gift for scholarships for future students. Enhancing our financial aid programs is a key goal of our current fundraising effort, Leading Together, the campaign for Washington University. This campaign has already realized more than $200 million to support student financial aid needs. Our goal is to assure that every talented student admitted to Washington University is able to enroll. We've had fun together beyond the Harlem Shake. We've had excitement in athletics. Thanks to outstanding athletes and excellent coaching, Washington University is ranked among the top Division III NCAA programs in the nation. Our athletes graduate at a higher rate than the class as a whole, have similar grade point averages, and distribute themselves among majors similar to the entire class. And by the way, our teams win. Our women's golf team is now competing for a national championship. Next week, women and men tennis teams are competing in the NCAA quarterfinals. Successes in fall, winter, and spring sports included winning UAA championships and competing in the NCAA playoffs. You have performed and supported theater, music, and dance, and you've enhanced our cultural understanding through Black Anthology, Carnival, Diwali, the Powwow, and the Lunar New Year. Many of you have been involved in research and other creative work that will enhance the quality of life. Our class of 2013 now begins a new phase of their lives. It's hard to appreciate the nature of the world 50 years from now, in 2063. But we do know there will be challenges and opportunities to which our new alumni will respond, just as our class of 1963 has done in the 50 years since their graduation. We celebrate this 50-year reunion class and their achievements. Let's take a look back to 1963 and try to get an understanding of life in America at that time. Median family income, with a family head of the family with 4 or more years of college, was about $9,700. Tuition at Washington University for the 62-63 year was only $1,100. A different time. Lawrence of Arabia was named Best Picture at the Academy Awards ceremony. The long-running soap opera General Hospital had its debut. The first James Bond film, Dr. No, premiered in the United States. The Beatles released their first album, Please, Please Me. Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman in space. In medicine, the first successful liver transplant was done by Dr. Thomas Starl, and Dr. James Hardy performed the first lung transplant. Surely, 1963 was a year with much accomplishment and promise. But 1963 was a time of challenge in America. Of course, time stopped in America on November 22nd, 1963, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. The young, vigorous, eloquent, and inspiring 35th President of the United States had only completed a little over 1,000 days in office, but he set our country on an excellent course in his brief presidency, especially in the area of civil rights. 1963 was, however, a year of great racial strife in America. It was early in 1963 that George Wallace was inaugurated as governor of Alabama. He proclaimed, quote, "Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever." On June 11th, later in 1963, President Kennedy broadcast his historic civil rights address, in which he promised a civil rights bill and asked for, quote, "the kind of equality of treatment that we would want for ourselves." The very next day, civil rights activist Medgar Evers was murdered. On August 28th of 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech at the Lincoln Memorial before 200,000 people. This profound and inspiring speech continues to change minds and hearts 50 years later. As I speak today, we can say that we have made enormous progress in this country in assuring civil rights for all. President Barack Obama is in his second term as the first African-American president. We have the talented and dynamic Cory Booker as the mayor of Newark. We see African Americans leading great corporations, and it is a source of pride that the largest African American owned business, Worldwide Technology, with about $4 billion in revenue, is headquartered right here in St. Louis, led by David Stewart. We also enjoy the most successful African American newspaper, the St. Louis American, led by Dr. Donald Suggs. Our own alumnus, Ronald Himes, the Henry Hampton Artist in Residence, founded and leads the most important African American theater, the St. Louis Black Rep. Martin Matthews, recognized here today with an honorary doctorate, has developed a nationally celebrated program to support success of African American youth. Washington University and other colleges and universities have embraced inclusiveness and diversity as a top priority, and we can claim some progress. However, events and ensuing discussions this spring here at Washington University reveal that we've not made the full progress we aspire to have, and we must redouble our efforts. Each year at the academic convocation for first-year students, I've emphasized, quote, "There is no room for racism, discrimination, or hatred on this campus." Those words are important, and they will be repeated for the class of 2017 this fall. But we must work harder, more creatively, and more collaboratively to bring reality to our aspirations and to realize the benefits to all that stem from a truly inclusive and diverse community. Addressing our challenges and responding well to new opportunities has been a tradition at Washington University, but it requires leadership. Washington University is arguably the most improved research university in America. Much of the credit for developing this great institution in the last quarter century goes to our provost, Dr. Edward S. Macias, who concludes his 25-year tenure as Chief Academic Officer at the end of June. In recent years, he's reinvigorated our efforts to strengthen both inclusiveness and diversity. I'd like you to join me in thanking Dr. Macias for his years of leadership in strengthening our academic enterprise. Our distinguished alumni, including those from the class of 1963, those younger and those who are older, reveal that we have a strong record of preparing leaders. Every school can claim many distinguished alumni who are leaders. Here are some examples. From law, the Honorable Rick Titleman, Chief Justice of the Missouri Supreme Court. From social work, Diane Harrison, President of California State University in Northridge. From engineering, Don Jubal, Trustee of Washington University and Chief Executive Officer of Spartan Light Metal Products. From arts and sciences, former U.S. Senator Jim Talent and Barbara Thomas, Washington University Trustee and CFO of HBO Sports. From medicine, Dr. Edwin Krebs, Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1992. From business, Jim Weddle, Managing Partner of Edward Jones. And from the Fox School of Design and Visual Arts, Sue Chan, leader of SCDA Architects in Singapore, and Cynthia Weiss, distinguished architect and former Dean of Architecture here at Washington University. And in art, Judy Pfaff, MacArthur Prize-winning artist. Each school surely has great alumni. Great alumni stem from the fact that we have extraordinarily talented students who become tomorrow's alumni. Looking ahead, we have prepared our new alumni to be leaders. In saying we prepare leaders, we do not mean that we're preparing only presidents and CEOs, as important as those are. We mean that we're preparing leaders in the broadest sense. This would include civic leaders, family leaders, business leaders, Nobel and Pritzker Prize winners, leading artists, designers, physicians, writers, social scientists, humanists, performers, engineers, lawyers, and social workers. In short, everyone educated at Washington University has the potential to become a leader in their chosen area. The bachelor's degree recipients here, especially, have benefited from the leadership of the late James E. McLeod, former Vice Chancellor for Students and Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Jim, an African American, grew up in Alabama in the 1950s and 1960s and succeeded in that most challenging time. In his leadership role here at Washington University, he encouraged all students to cultivate what he termed habits of achievement. This past year, his colleagues, former students, and friends prepared a short book documenting the McLeod leadership legacy from the Irvin Scholars Program. The book is entitled Habits of Achievement, Lessons for Life Well Lived. This book is available to you and future generations. If you're interested today, you can obtain a copy at our bookstore. Jim McLeod's leadership style is one we treasure. We call it McLeod's Way. We celebrated McLeod's Way at the beginning of this academic year. Caring and sensitive, quiet and dedicated, trusted friend and advisor, Jim McLeod was a wise, creative, and visionary leader whose special way, McLeod's Way, continues to inspire all who join the Washington University community. Jim McLeod encouraged the habits of achievement that will benefit all of us. A very large fraction of our new graduates have already demonstrated leadership in making the world a better place. You've been involved in campus activities coordinated by the Gephardt Institute, Campus Y, and religious and Greek organizations. Many graduates have been involved in special programs like the Clinton Global Initiative University, Service First, Relay for Life, Dance Marathon, and Mr. WashU. This year's winner of the Mr. WashU contest and fundraising program for City Faces was a Ms., class of 2013 graduate, Ms. Mamatha Chala. In these and many other public service activities, students have been creators and leaders in supporting our community. I'm confident that every new graduate has the potential for leadership. You will address effectively the world's challenges and seize the most exciting opportunities. Indeed, we're depending on you. You have developed the habits of achievement. You are already tomorrow's leaders. Thank you for making Washington University stronger. Congratulations to the class of 2013.
Let us now stand and remove our caps for the singing of the alma mater. The words are printed inside the back cover of your program. Colleen McCormick Batty will lead us, and we invite everyone to please join in the singing of the Washington University alma mater. Well, you've already risen, so I won't say will you please rise. Following the alma mater, we ask that parents and guests remain in their seats until the end of the academic recession and that all degree recipients have exited the quadrangle.